Hello, my name is Jer Power. My student number is 2010693, and this is my CA2 for 3D game assets. My 3D model is called the Thunder Cannon. It is inspired by the Thunder Gun from Call of Duty Black Ops Zombies.
This thing shoots air. And anyone forced to spend time with Carl who knows
So to go through the process of all, it was fairly simple to do. It was mostly a learning experience for me. Most of my work was literally just reshaping squares and reshaping cylinders, as the Thunder Gun is a fairly blocky gun anyway. It was fairly simple. One technique I did use that was a great help was the Boolean, which is technically as shown here, where you just put a square inside another square and then you just make them opposite, I guess, and it forms a hole in the other shape. And that helped me make the barrel of the gun and the holder where you put your arm in. And also helped for me to create this spherical cylinder holders that you can see on the side of the gun, which holds the oxygen tanks. Fairly easy to integrate, and it was a great help to my project. Another tool I used was the curve wrap, which is basically where you draw a curve as shown and you make a cylinder, scale the cylinder and align the cylinder to the curve, and then you select both objects, then go into deform and do curve wrap, and that essentially makes a tube or a wire depending on whichever thickness you go at. This is where I made the little wires slash tubes for the Thunder Cannon, where I attached the tanks to the weapon. This is fairly simple to do. Like, at first I didn't really know what to do at all, and I just looked up a simple YouTube video, and now I can do it literally any time I want. It's easy to understand. One of the more tedious aspects of making the Thunder Cannon was trying to get the textures in the Thunder Cannon. That's mostly because I'm fairly inexperienced with adding textures. At first they wouldn't line up, sometimes I couldn't even get textures on it, and then I kind of realized that I didn't even have it so textures were loading. For most of the time I couldn't even load the textures, and then I realized I didn't even put it on so the textures would display, so that was a bit frustrating at the start. And then the problems didn't really stop with that, because even when I put on the textures, they wouldn't match up, or they'd look really bad and stretched. And so I'd go into the UV editor, and since my shapes are very complex, they'd be kind of all over the place. And so I was kind of finicking with it for like a long while. But after a while I found out that you could just auto place the textures into the mesh, and that helped a lot with my texture processing. As you can see, it's literally a godsend, and it helped me a lot, because if I had to do that manually it would have taken me weeks. With this I imported a lot of textures online. Like I took just some random metal textures and put it on the gun, even made my own textures with simple Lambert. I made some glowing light bulbs for the buttons, because it just makes it stand out, and on the original Thunder Gun it has little glowing ammo symbols to show how much you have. It maxes out with 4 ammo symbols, and so I did 4 little light bulbs on the magazine just to show, just to be in line with the original Thunder Gun design. I also took this emergency tape texture and put it on the Thunder Gun to show the battery pack, and show that it's a bit dangerous and you should be staying away from it or you might get a shock. However, for the general Thunder Gun I mostly just made that with certain different metallic textures. For the mag holder I made it a lighter texture. For the general handle I made kind of like a little grimmer, more grimy texture that kind of shows its use, and for the barrel I gave it a darker texture, just to give it some significance, since it's like basically a microphone, and microphones are usually like pretty dark to be used. And I made some outside lights just for technology aspect, and I also did a red and blue texture for red and blue wires and red and blue cylinders, just to show different like kind of maybe chemicals or gases being put into the gun, like in oxyacetylene welding, like the way they have different types of colored tanks when you're welding certain things is a bit of an inspiration for it. Creating LODs was finicky at first, but I got the hang of it pretty quickly. Since my model doesn't really have much polygons in it, I had to up the LODs take markdown percentage to like the high 80s or like near like 95%, so you could mark any significant change. And the most simplistic design is at around 98% loss of polygons. Is probably one of the easiest parts to do with this project. At first I made a bunch of different models and kind of lowered down the LOD, but then I realized that you could get Maya to automatically do it and also create a folder for LODs for your model, so it is just more of a learning experience and more time wasting, I guess. Now, when I put the model into Unity, there were a lot of flaws. Firstly, getting the LODs to actually work was a bit finicky. Just trying to remember how to actually put LODs in Unity was a bit difficult, but I got the hang of it fairly quickly and got it working. However, the main problem was that some textures wouldn't work in Unity. So what I had to do was re-import the textures back into Unity and manually add them back onto the model, basically disregarding the textures that was already on the model. So I basically download the textures, add them to Unity, created new materials, then put the textures onto the materials, then put the materials onto the Wonder Weapon in order to make the gun look like it was intended to look like. And if I'm going to be honest, adding textures and materials into things in Unity is way easier and way more accessible than Maya, because you can simply add on the textures and then add on the files just like drag and drop, where in Maya you can't drag and drop any textures or materials. It's like just way more finicky in my opinion. I was mostly inspired to make the Thunder Cannon because I just absolutely love the game Call of Duty Zombies. I have massive respect for the developers that make the games, and I just absolutely love the Wonder Weapon designs of the game. You can go from technology to magical to like a living creature that can kill zombies. It's just overall just these amazing designs that I'd love to like be part of the team and just see the creative process of making those weapons. It's just amazing to go in depth of how creative it actually is to make a Wonder Weapon that can kill like thousands of zombies in multiple different ways. There's even Wonder Weapons that like just shoot electricity. This Wonder Weapon just shoots pressurized air and just sends them flying. But there's even Wonder Weapons that like boils their skin, makes the zombies just inflate and pop. There's a Wonder Weapon that shrinks the zombies. There's Wonder Weapons that suck in the zombies and just shreds them up. There's even this Wonder Weapon that's a living alien that you just shove your arm into and it like shoots out black holes that sucks in the zombies. So it's just a massive creative process that the team goes through that I just like love, and like just thinking of the ways to like kill zombies in like really creative ways that players haven't really seen before. And I just love the process of making Wonder Weapon. One day I'll hope to like create my very own Wonder Weapon that's like completely on its own, like original, that like it's just completely out there. So thank you for watching my video. My name is Power, and this is my final CA2 for 3D game assets. Thank you.